Hey guys, just finished watching Flash, Season 5, Episode 14, Cause and Excess. This episode was really interesting, especially dealing with Nora really kind of going back in time and just like having to redo things very much like a Groundhog Day type thing, or very much like the trailers I keep seeing for the movie, the Happy Death Day and stuff, very much similar like that, where the time just keeps on a loop and stuff, except for the fact that the different part about this part is that she has control throughout the whole thing. So I think that's really interesting. So we start off this episode with Cisco finds a metahuman cure, but it's going to take a month for it to finish. So Barry brings it into the Speed Force, and to speed it up, and he's kind of gone throughout the whole episode. And I kind of find that interesting. He's not in this episode. I wonder if there's any reason why. If there's anything to do with him, because it just seems a bit weird that he's just not in this episode. There's I guess Grant just wanted to take a break or something, but it really was an interesting episode. Very much, I guess you could say it's a filler episode on its own, but the potential to setting up like Flashpoint events later on, or maybe not Flashpoint style, because Flashpoint completely undoes everything, but having some Flashpoint fallouts later on could be quite interesting. So we see Cicada takes Iris, Cisco goes on a date, and Killer Frost ends up getting killed by Cicada, and that's when Nora kind of runs back in time and things just start to repeat itself. And then we keep seeing Cisco going on the date and stuff, and that was kind of boring, just seeing him go on the date and doing these silly things, and it was just kind of silly and annoying. So I hope I just would have liked to have seen something a bit different other than him doing that date or something. I think it could have been interesting to see as to how things go, but just I don't know. The date was just kind of silly with him kind of not being himself and just going there. It was just kind of very like they just were not writing this really well. They're not putting any effort at all into writing the Cisco dating scenes. It was just kind of silly, him just showing up and being kind of like completely different. It was just kind of annoying and kind of boring. Although it was kind of interesting seeing him kind of vibe earlier timelines during it. That was kind of interesting as it got later on. But the earlier parts were just kind of annoying and boring and kind of just silly and goofy for no reason. And so we see things go over and over again. And every time someone gets stabbed by Cicada's dagger, whether it's Ralph, it's whoever, one of the superheroes, or even Cecile later on, she ends up doing it like 52 times and stuff. But one of the things that got me after the second time was like, why can't she move at such a high speed? Because that dagger, we don't know what speed it goes at, but let's say it goes, we're going to assume it goes bullet time, like, the speed of a handgun or whatever, a fast gun, right? Maybe a little bit faster than a regular handgun or a police issue handgun, or about the same speed. Which we've seen Excess do that. We've seen her a few episodes ago when she dodged a rocket, in midair, right? So that was going pretty fast. We've seen the Flash, was it back a few seasons ago, back during the Dominator episode, during the alien invasion with the Dominators, there was an episode where a few people were shooting at everyone, and we saw Barry in a few going slow-mo, going bullet time, and moving the bullets out of the way, very much like Quicksilver in Days of Future Past, or Quicksilver in the last one there, I can't think of it, but mainly in Days of Future Past, where he sees the bullets, instead of moving the people away from the bullets, he moves the bullets away from the people, and just does that all at super speed. I don't understand why she can't do this. Like I said, we've seen Flash do this, we've seen Barry do this before a few seasons ago. We didn't, it's a it's a long scene to do. I know for the movies, Quicksilver has said that he spends more time on set than anyone else, and it's true. Because it takes so long to do that, and they got to film it for so long. He spends more time than anyone else on set because it just takes so long to do those scenes. So I get that we can't have a long scene like that on this show, but just as one object, why couldn't she, instead of moving the person out of the way, because she moves one person and then hits the other person, move the dagger out of the way and line it up to hit Cicada? So I didn't understand as to why they couldn't do anything like that. They never explained as to why that can't happen, and it's not like they haven't set it up that type of that style is not doable. But it would have been nice to see one of the timelines where she tries to touch it, tries to move it in the midair, and she can't, and it kind of like it shocks her, or she gets cut or something, to show that she can't do that. She's not going to be able to move that in midair because of the dagger being infected, being a meta and stuff like that, the dagger being infected with dark matter. I think that could have made sense. All we needed was one where she tries to grab it and she can't, and she gets burnt, seriously burnt on her hand, and it just kind of launches her away, or something like that, where she attempts to move it at bullet speed, at high speed, just move it in the air, and then knocking it from hitting. I mean, we saw that all the time in Smallville, but I don't know why they can't do it here. So we see Nora ends up going back 52 times, or actually 53 times if you count the one that works at the end of the episode. That was kind of interesting. And then they end up, Cicada ends up getting stabbed by his dagger, and he takes off. Then Barry shows back up, and he ends up, Nora tells him all about it. He ends up warning Nora about time travel, how, you know, you can put it back together, but it's not going to be 100% as if it was never broken, right? So I think that's kind of interesting. Hopefully that's kind of teasing there's going to be some fallout to where things are going, especially with stuff going on Arrow and stuff. Hopefully there could be some kind of fallout to see how things fix there and stuff. I think it could be interesting. Maybe not if things are not kind of permanent. You know, maybe the effects are not going to reveal themselves just yet, but maybe going into season 8 of Arrow, there could be some effects that pop up then. I mean, that's what happened with Flashpoint for that. So I think that could be something interesting there going into season 8. Something could happen, you know, little things, especially with the time travel, or not time travel, dealing with the future storyline in Arrow could be something interesting to see to where things go. But it also would be cool to see stuff happen with Legend of Tomorrow, but because it's kind of weird since Legend of Tomorrow is not going on right now. So you know where to the timeline, like what's going on currently with the Legends? Are they still at the last episode where we last left off? And all this other stuff and Flash and Arrows happen at the same time. And they're just kind of on a pause, but yet this is still, like, these shows are still moving on. It's kind of weird, but be something interesting to play with. But at the end of the episode, we see that Sherlock ends up finishing translating Nora's book. And I think that's going to be really interesting, and hopefully we can bring that up. It's just disappointing that we're only going to get the reveal. Maybe he reads it all or whatever at the end of the next episode. So hopefully, you know, early on in the next episode, I haven't seen the trailer yet for the next episode, but hopefully at the beginning of the next episode, he says, hey, I've got this completely translated. Here's what I found. Instead of him translating at the end of this episode, spending the whole next episode reading the book, and then finding out the juicy parts that, you know, she's working with Reverse Flash, and then she goes to Barry with that. And then it's like, and then that's the cliffhanger again. So it's like, it's like reusing the same cliffhanger, kind of. That would be annoying if they did that for the next episode. But we'll have to wait and see. So hopefully he reads it before the next episode, and we jump into the next episode with Sherlock having completely read the Nora's book and completely knowing everything that's in there. So that could be something interesting to see, and to see how he decides to use it. Does he approach? Who does he go to first? Does he just tell everyone, or does he go and talk to Nora one-on-one? I think that could be something interesting. So all in all, I'm really excited to see as to where things go where things go. I like this episode. Hopefully, like I said, if Nora's kind of if the stuff that all the stuff that all the time travel Nora did here ends up having a ripple effect on the timeline, I think that could be really cool, and that could make this episode not a filler episode. And then there's also Barry in the making the Speed Force, going into the Speed Force, making the cure. But I think it could be interesting to see as to what the fallout is of all this time travel. That'll definitely be interesting to see. So let me know what you think, guys, about this episode in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.
I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have.
Subscribing.
Sometimes is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little, and it seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
You're still here.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. Peace.
It's over.